Hello, hello. Hello. We're going to get started in one more minute. Just like to wait to make sure as many people as possible can get in. We will get started. Oops. Oops. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Okay. I'm going to wait another couple seconds. And all righty. Well, hello, and welcome back to our second annual New Year Wellness Series, packed with meaningful guidance on spiritual, relational, emotional, nutritional, physical, and mental wellness. I'm Robin Rubin, founder of the Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement. The center is housed in the Sandler School of Social Work within the College of Social Work and Criminal Justice at FAU. We offer weekly online meditation sessions, bi-monthly in-person yoga classes, and monthly wellness workshops. All of our offerings are free of charge and open to everyone, students, faculty, staff, friends, and family. The Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement is pleased to co-sponsor this series with our friends at the Marcus Institute of Integrative Health at FAU Medicine. Integrative Health is a holistic, patient-focused approach to healthcare and wellness. At the Marcus Institute, their physicians treat the whole person by examining everything that makes up a patient's health, including factors that can lead to disease, affect nutrition, exercise, and stress. Ultimately, patients and physicians are partners in healing and wellness. We're posting links in the chat now and invite you to learn more about the Robin Rubin Center and the Marcus Institute and make plans to join us again in the near future. Okay, so we have those in the chat. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Ananda Nelson. Ananda is a licensed clinical social worker and alumni of the Phyllis and Harvey Sandler School of Social Work. She maintains a personal, lifelong meditation practice that she integrates into her psychotherapy practice, combining clinical knowledge with the wisdom of the mind-body connection to support her clients in their healing. She is also alumni representative for the Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement. Ananda, thank you so much for your leadership and for presenting today. Please take it away.
Hi, all. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. Again, I'm Ananda Nelson, for those of you who I'm seeing for the first time. And this pillar of wellness that I get to share and present on today is one that I'm really, really passionate about. Today, we're going to really dive into the ways to cultivate your spiritual wellness through meditation. So whether you are an advanced meditator or if you're meditating for the very first time, there's always a place and space for everyone to experience the peace and the connection that even just a simple meditation can bring. So we will specifically be honing in on what it means to revive and reconnect through meditation. And I will also be guiding us into a meditation more towards the end as well. But first, of course, we must go through the basics. So what is meditation? The Western world has certainly turned meditation into more of an action or a doing when really it is a way of living. People will always say, like, oh, I need to meditate, make it a whole ordeal. And it's such a big to-do versus it's really when we can access that connection and that presence that we are looking for so much more deeply and so much more simply with enough practice, of course. But in essence, meditation is bringing your attention and awareness into this present moment. So it might sound kind of cliche in the world that we live in today, but when we really engage in the essence of what this moment offers, there is a lot to be seen, to be felt, to be experienced. And how often are we either living in the past or living in the future? So whether we're thinking about a meeting we've just had, a presentation that could have gone better, or even where you need to be in an hour, in 20 minutes, like what time are you getting the kids? What do you need to get from the store? All of these things of the past and the future, They just go on and on and on. So essentially, to add on top of that, add in social media and television, and we're constantly consumed by other stimulus and information that pulls us out of that presence, which in turn leads to our bodies, our brains, our heart, and our spirit often don't get the attention and care that it really requires, hence leaving us burnt out, angry, overwhelmed, anxious, any of those kinds of things, like you name it, it's going to be a part of it. So I know and I understand that sometimes when we're in that flow of life and getting things done, it's hard to stop and take your energy out of that flow. But to come to that place of quiet, it's going to take time for each of you to assess how you're going to integrate that into your life. But it is something that we do have to think about. Because again, the whole point is that meditation is not just something you do on a cushion in the quiet, but it's a way that you can observe and experience your life more fully and in more connection. So in essence, to live life like an open-eyed meditation, and you'd likely have much less regrets, if none at all, because you would really be more connected to your intuition. So also kind of in the opposite, are we living out of society standards for us, our community's thoughts for us, family, all those things. And so as we go through our short but very powerful time together, definitely please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I know we're going to do questions at the end, so just keep those in your mind. You can always put them in the chat and I'll do my best to get those answered to each of you. And so I was very mindful and very choosy of what words to use today when describing this lunch and learn today. And I chose revive and reconnect. And so what does it actually mean to be revived? And in a general understanding, to restore to life or to consciousness. So notice that word consciousness. And to first be conscious, we have to be connected. And without connection, we can't get anywhere. So lack of connection to oneself, to life, I'd say 99% of the time leads to that lack of purpose, that feeling, therefore leaning into that lack of meaning. And it just kind of goes down a rabbit hole. But unfortunately, with the world that we do live in today, there's things we have to take care of in our physical realm. We have to be able to provide for our loved ones and for ourselves. And as much of a service as that can be, oftentimes our jobs and our careers don't always fulfill that sense of meaning and purpose in most of humanity. And through our life duties, it's not uncommon for people to go on autopilot, to wake up, drink the cup of coffee, the whole spiel, literally dragging ourselves through life rather than meeting life and meeting the day as another adventure or as another opportunity to live in more connection. And I'd also say that people avoid kind of consciously waking up because it can be a really vulnerable process. People have to change, they have to look at things and go through that discomfort. But at what price do we stay asleep? Again, as to live, we have to be conscious to then therefore call forth that connection from within us that's available to all of us. It's just a matter of giving our attention and our energy to it. And I would also suppose that there's that little nudge inside of each person that when it gets kind of quiet, the little nudge has something to say or something to convey, but often we don't listen. And why don't we value ourselves enough to give ourselves that attention? We don't deprive our children or our friends of that kind of time and energy. So why don't we offer ourselves the same courtesy? And these are the kinds of questions that will lead us closer to reigniting that connection. And so when you get spiritually well, I can truly say with confidence that your life gets well. Your body responds better, your mind and your heart can be more at ease, and your whole energy changes as you are truly an energetic being. There's science with this, that we each have magnetic and electric energy running through us at all times. So consider, right, that when we get sick, we want to find the root cause of our illness to be able to heal completely and fully. And our life as a human being operates in the same way. So in some essence, depending on belief, of course, we are all spirit. We're all that consciousness, as without it, we would just be the corpse. We would just be the body, no movement, just the physical. So to bring the most vibrance into this life, we need to connect to that energy, to that essence within us. The same energetic essence that runs through the trees, the wind, the sky, to work in harmony with ourselves versus working against ourselves. So that sense of spiritual wellness can change how you respond to and see circumstances and events in your life, not to deny, suppress, or bypass that pain and that trauma or that discomfort that we go through, but to move through it more consciously with more awareness, so it doesn't have to linger and cause more issues in our lives down the line. So essentially, because right, our issues just want to be resolved. It's just like the body sending a symptom, right? Basically saying, take care of me. It's the same as the emotional symptoms that show up. It's trying to get our attention to look into whatever that it's needing right now. And 100% of the time when we go through trauma, this has happened to everyone, we all stop breathing. The body shuts down in that fear and that shock, activating that fight, flight, freeze, flight, fawn response. And that's why within meditation, one of the most important components is the breath. And not only during traumatic events do we stop breathing, but even just in our daily activities, which brings me to my next most important component of meditation, is being the observer or being the witness. So how often can you observe yourself not breathing? You know, how often is your breath short and scattered as the body responds and somewhat mirrors to the pace of the breath that you have? And as that breath regulates, it activates that parasympathetic nervous system. So if your breathing is scattered and short, your body's likely going to be anxious, fidgety, and really disoriented. And that anxiousness and fidgeting is exerting a lot of extra energy, having you be more tired more quickly because your body is having to work that much harder to regulate itself. So whenever you can, right, just notice, do your body that service and breathe properly, breathe more deeply with more awareness. It's our most authentic connection to life. As when we take our first breath and our last breath, it does really mark the beginning and the end. And we cannot reconnect to then revive while operating over these issues and operating over these things that make us, sick. So how do we begin? By quite literally just pausing and by acknowledging what is. And when we acknowledge what is, it doesn't mean that action needs to be taken right away. And people often think that by admitting what is, we have to change it immediately, when that's just simply not true. And sometimes we need to sit with the truth and process it before taking any action. And when we can take that inventory of what is, there is no need to fear, to hide, and we can more authentically pursue that connection. So right now, in this moment, on this Zoom, I want each of you, right? So if you have a piece of paper nearby, or if you want to use your phone to pull up your notes, I want you to just write this question down for yourself. And even if you want to just ask it in your mind, that's okay too. I just want you to kind of have that thought in your mind. So when you're ready, just write this down, or at least ask yourself, is there something I have been avoiding that is preventing me from being fully connected to myself? So I'll say that again. Is there something I have been avoiding that is preventing me from being fully connected to myself? I want you to take a moment just to ponder that. I would normally have people write in the chat, but this is a much more vulnerable question, so I want you to keep that with you. So I'll just give you 30 seconds, a minute, just see whatever that comes through, but think on that. You can't rush this. Is there something I've been avoiding that is preventing me from being fully connected to myself? And just take a few breaths with that. And then whenever you feel complete with that, and even if you don't feel complete, that's okay. You can keep pondering that while we keep carrying on. And for some of you, maybe nothing came to mind, and that's okay. And if something did ring in your mind, just know that there's nothing that needs to be done about it right now. Just your acknowledgement is enough. But now, right, two-part question. So second question. And if you want to write this down, you can, or if you just want to be with yourself with this, you can too. So ask yourself, how can I be more connected to myself? How can I be more connected to myself? That could come across as listening to yourself and your needs, saying no more often when you normally say yes, listening to your intuition, just see what comes through. I'll just give you a few moments for that. And this is a really good check-in. Maybe take a nice deep breath with yourself. Okay. So it's in these moments of stillness and that quiet that we can be more innocently curious versus judging ourselves for what we're feeling. And now that we have some information to work with, this is where it gets fun. So we are going to move into the experiential portion of today, the meditation. So my request is that you just become comfortable wherever that you're seated. If you are driving, please do not close your eyes. Take care of yourself. And essentially, as a reminder, meditation is just that process of slowing down the mind and body while staying conscious. So slowing down that breath is directly connected to both the body and mind that controls the volume at which the voice in your head operates at. So the more you can relax, the more you can really feel into that surrender. And so my only request is that you, as you go through your meditation, if you drift, that's okay. Bring it back. No need to judge it. No need to say, I'm doing this wrong. If you notice that you're being pulled somewhere else, acknowledge it, leave it there, and just come back. And all I really need each of you to do is just to follow along with me. So let's see here. So whenever you're ready, just become comfortable wherever you are. My biggest invitation is that you can sit up as straight as you can, but not into a point that it's uncomfortable. So perhaps put a pillow behind you or just sit up straight in your chair, but allow your body to really be supported. And if you are comfortable, I invite you to either close your eyes or at least just look down at the floor. And we're just going to do a few deep, full belly breaths. So all I need each of you to do is we're going to breathe into your belly, then into your chest, hold it, and let it go. So just follow along with me. So whenever you're ready, deep breath into your belly, into your chest, hold it, and let go. All the way out, going in again, belly, chest, hold it, and let go. Going in again, really expanding that belly. Opening up your chest. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and let go. So now just breathing in deeply at your own pace. Just simply allow your body to relax. So just feeling your feet inside of your shoes or on the floor. Letting all of the muscles in your face relax. Letting your shoulders drop. And just noticing anywhere that you might squeeze or hold tight. Maybe in your stomach, in your chest. Just see if you can let go a little bit more. That when you let go of this tension, that true energy can come through. And just simply allowing your body to be fully supported by the chair or wherever that you're sitting. And just quietly affirm with yourself in your mind, I allow myself to just let go now. And just slowly turning your attention and awareness into your heart space in the center of your chest. So just simply meeting your heart wherever it is right now. Happy or sad, open or closed, anywhere in between and beyond. Just be authentic with you. Taking one more breath into your heart. And just bringing your attention and awareness into your mind, into your mental space. Just noticing any of the chaos, any of the movement in your mind, and just let it dissipate. Knowing that there's nothing else you need to do right now, nothing else you need to think about, except just being connected to you. Staying connected to that breath, acknowledging that it's re-nourishing all parts of you, moving through time and space. And just slowly begin to turn that awareness into your soul space, your spirit space, that part of you that lives beyond this body. And maybe you haven't connected to this part of you in a while. And if so, that's okay. We're doing it now. Just acknowledging that there's this spark of this energy within you and all around you. All we need to do is connect to it, to call it forth from within us. It's available. So just taking another breath. Just be in this stillness and this quiet for a moment. And if you feel called, feel free to bring one hand or both hands just up and over your heart space. It can be just on your chest. You can do prayer hands, whatever that feels more connected and authentic to you. And I just want you to ask yourself, just quietly in your mind, what meaning have I been giving to my life? What meaning have I been giving to my life? Knowing that even throughout the mundane moments of life, there is a spark. There's a deeper purpose behind every moment that we live. That everything is connected. And perhaps just acknowledge yourself for whatever that you've gone through recently, that you've made it. Perhaps that you don't need to struggle anymore. Acknowledging that sometimes our deepest pain and suffering can be the catalyst for the highest service. So just asking yourself, what does it mean for me to live? What does living really mean to me? Staying connected to that breath. Really feeling into your heart as best you can. Your heart is always generating the most energy in your whole body.
Like one more time.
A nice deep breath. And it's in this state of this silence and this contemplation that we can be more connected to ourselves, to this life. And just see if you can notice the body being more rested, more in tune. So just take one more deep breath. And then whenever you're ready, just begin to ground back into your body, back into the room that you are sitting in, this time, this space. And there's no rush. So just be nice and steady. And if anything came to mind, I want you to remember that, maybe write it down. If there's anything that each of you want to share and experience, a moment or an understanding, I'm sure we'll share those in the chat momentarily. And I would imagine that most of you feel more noticeably calm or grounded than before we started. And once we can reground our energy and sense of being enough, we can truly be revived. Again, to be revived is to live in spirit, the spirit of you that's in this body. And there is that light and essence that is uniquely yours, and only you can do it justice. And it's your duty to do so. So with this practice of meditation, it can be done anytime, anywhere. It could be while you wait for a class to start, before you go to bed at night, in the car. There's always a chance to be the observer and to breathe, to watch yourself breathe, and to breathe like you mean it, to breathe like you're really living. And the more you're connected to that breath, the more you can live in that connection and in revival. And there are various forms of how to do meditation. So you can do it in silence and guidance. It's up to you and your journey moving forward. And know that it is our responsibility to show up for ourselves by turning inward into that stillness that meditation brings, while still being connected to the world outside of us. We can't be too inward or too outward, or we're missing one or the other. And I think we all know that our purposes are so much more than what we do, what our actions are, but who we are in the process. So my biggest intent is that each of you have meditation to be a foundational aspect of living in purpose, in meaning, and in connection. So thank you all so much for being here with me today. We're going to go through some questions, and it means a great deal for me to share such a passion of mine in my life. And I hope that you've all gained some insights on how to take care of your spiritual wellness and just to be connected to you a bit more. So if you do want to contact me, you can always email me. I'll put my email in the chat, and I can always answer any follow-up questions that you have in the coming days, or even if anything just comes to mind. So thank you again, and we'll just go through some of these questions or comments.
So thank you so much, Ananda. Before we take your questions, we're adding a link in the chat to a brief survey. So please take 1 minute to share your feedback about today's event. And while your feedback is super important to us, but while you're doing that, I just wanted to add something that recently has been happening for me. I've been noticing that even in like as I sit here and I, not when I was doing the meditation, but just while you were speaking, and the tension in the body, and then all of a sudden, if I just pay attention to it and I release it, it's like, wow, wow. I was actually laying in bed last night going to sleep, and my hands were crossed like this over me, and I was like, wow, they're tight. Like, relax them, relax the fingers, just to be more in the moment. I don't know. I just felt like sharing that, but it's amazing how often we are tense so that we don't even realize it. And if we start to pay attention to that, I think it is just so helpful for everyday living. So,
absolutely.
So, good. The survey is done. So does anybody have any questions? Want to unmute yourself and ask, or
anything that anyone wants to share, anything that might have come up that you just want to be heard?
Sorry, daughters. Questions? Any questions?
Not.
At the beginning, you mentioned about meditation and intuition. Please repeat.
Let's see. I was in the flow there. So I'm like, all right, what did I say? So about meditation and intuition. So I would say, I know I mentioned intuition more so about when we live from that intuition, we're not living out of, the scopes or structures that might be put onto us that we take on as true. So whether that comes from family, society, communities, and of course, we know we each have a bigger purpose, but to follow that intuition and say, okay, I'm noticing right now that I might need X, Y, and Z. And you have to have that discernment to say, is this a rational or irrational thing that I am in need of right now? So really building that intuition of, do you know yourself? Do you know what you need? No one ever can tell you what you need. Sometimes someone can offer that perspective and it could be helpful, but we have to be in tune with ourselves enough to understand what we're really calling for from within. It's kind of like, for example, when you're trying to choose what to eat and, it's not about what do I want, but what do I need? Like intuitively, what does my body need to actually be nourished versus, pleasure, or coming from that kind of perspective. If you have a specific question about meditation and intuition, definitely ask, because I could go on about intuition I could do a whole lecture on intuition. But really just listening to the energy, the feeling of what we each need, if that makes sense.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Right. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So, are there certain meditations to connect more with intuition?
I'm certain that there are. I'm certain you could quite literally go on YouTube or go on any of these. There's many meditation apps now. You have Calm, you have Insight Timer. Insight Timer is one of my favorites. It's free. They probably have specific meditations for intuition. But my favorite thing is to either sit in silence or sit with really, really light music, no lyrics, nothing to really distract you too much. And just to really tune in and say, okay, me, intuitively, what do I need? Where am I at in my life? Is there something that I've been kind of doing unconsciously that I either need to change or bring correction to really live more in that intuition? And right, it's almost like on a day off. If you wake up and say, if I had no plans, where would my intuition guide me? Where would I actually end up if I listened to where I thought I was supposed to be? Not where does school and job tell me I'm supposed to be? Where does all these other circumstances tell me I'm supposed to be versus where do I feel called to be? So it's all about kind of following that calling, if that makes sense. But I would definitely find, you can YouTube meditations for intuition, Insight Timer. I'm sure you can look up intuition meditations, and any of the other apps, Calm, Headspace, they'll all have really great options for anyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Great. Well, so you filled out the survey. That's wonderful. We're just about out of time. I thank you so much, Ananda, for being here. Thank you so much. We hope you'll make plans to join us next week. Same link, same date, same time, next Wednesday at noon, when we'll talk with Dr. Tahina Pestana about integrative nutrition and the power of an anti-inflammatory diet. Until then, be well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, Ananda. Thank you, Rainbow Robin.